What is going on, peasants? My name is JB, back here today with our post Espeon released tier list for Pokemon Unite. This is one of my favorite videos we make every patch, just because I really like coming out here and spouting dumb opinions that you guys love to roast me for. And please feel free to do so, but just be warned that I do have feelings. I am an adult, but I do have feelings. Anyway, yeah, these are always fun to make. Let me know what you guys think of my tier list before we even get started. Let me know what you guys think. Where you're ranking Espeon. We'll go ahead and get to that a little bit later in the video, but if you enjoy my dumb personality, maybe consider hitting the sub button. I'm pretty close to 450 subs. It'd be really cool to hit. I want to hit 500 before Scarlet and Violet come out, so if you can help me out with that, it'd be really cool of you. If not, I totally get it. It's whatever, but you know, it's just my livelihood. It's just the only thing I care about is numbers and validation. Validate me, guys. All right, anyway, enough joking around. Let's go ahead and hop on into this tier list. Let's start off. I kind of just want to do this in order of this is in order of generation. No, it's in order of release. Maybe it looks like it's in order of release. Nah, it's not fun. We'll just go ahead and do it in category order, I suppose. Let's start off. Wigglytuff is just in the middle of my screen, so we'll start off with supports. Wigglytuff, honestly, it's borderline B tier for me at the moment. I've had it in A or S tier in pretty much every tier list I've ever made, but it's not exactly fantastic right now, is it? It's a little bit rough at the moment. Like, just based on a lot of other things in the game, you know, other pink blobs in the game, it's not as good as it has been. I think it's still really strong. I'm gonna leave it in A tier. We're doing this mostly based on solo, duo, trio queue, but you know, we'll throw into some 5-stack and, you know, top tier competitive jargon when need be. But I do think Wigglytuff is still really good. I think it's fallen off mostly in 5-stacks and competitive, but I do think it still has its place in solo, duo, trio as well. Just one of the most, if not the most annoying Pokemon in the game. Q-Charm is still absolutely broken. Sing is still really good. Basically, if you're not running into a Blissey, I think it'll be fine, which is why I'm going to go ahead and rank Blissey just also in A tier, just slightly above Wigglytuff. Blissey is just unbelievable right now. Egg Bomb, the buffs to it, the changes to it have been fantastic. Giving it that extra damage, giving it the extra charges as well. The game is super focused on securing objectives right now, and Egg Bomb provides a decent secure, so that's a big thing for it, as well as Safeguard being ridiculously good right now. Just giving the extra bit of shills, keeping people healthy so they're not stunned, so they're not slowed or anything. It's just, yeah, Safeguard is stupidly good, and if for whatever reason you don't need Safeguard, I don't think I've seen a single team competitively not run Safeguard recently. But if you don't need it for whatever reason, you can also go double egg build and heal a ton. And also, did I mention Helping Hand is still one of the best attacks in the game, so everything about Blissey's kit is super good. So we'll go ahead and throw it into the A tier. It is borderline S tier, but I think one support just completely outclasses it. I think you know who I'm talking about, and that's Mr. Mime. No, I'm just kidding. Mr. Mime is good. There's something there with it. There really is. But I just don't think it's quite there yet. It's getting close. It's just not quite yet. It's still pretty rough. They took away a lot of the stuns and a little bit of the damage from the Confusion barrier build, but the walls are still pretty good. Confusion is still pretty good. Psychic is still one of the worst moves in the game. But the big thing about Mr. Mime's kit at the moment, I think, is Guard Swap, and specifically Guard Swap Plus. The healing you get from Guard Swap Plus is really good. The problem is you don't get it till level 13. If they change the order of its level up moves so you get Guard Swap Plus at level 11, or God forbid they just make it so Guard Swap always heals, we're talking one of the best Pokemon in the game. But until that happens, I think it's still a pretty rough Pokemon. It's decent, it's okay, but there are just better supporters and defenders in the game specifically, so I think it's close, just not quite there yet. Speaking of a fall from grace, let's go ahead and talk about Eldegoss real quick. Eldegoss used to be the best support in the game, but other power creeps basically have really seen it fall a little bit lower. Specifically, the buffs to Blissey have made this thing pretty irrelevant. Eldegoss was mainly used for its shields and its healing, and Leaf Tornado being able to move the team around. Well, Blissey provides a better shield and Safeguard, and heals more with Egg Bomb if you end up running that either way. And then Helping Hand also gives you that little bit of a speed boost that Leaf Tornado does. So Blissey basically just does everything that Eldegoss does, but better. Eldegoss does have or did have slightly better security in Leaf Tornado, but then Egg Bomb exists now. Its Unite move is different, probably a little bit better, but Blissey, if you can actually run through enemies with its Unite move, is really strong. So I just think Blissey completely outclasses Eldegoss at the moment. Not to say Eldegoss is a bad Pokemon, it's still really, really good. I just think Blissey does everything that Eldegoss does, but better. And last but not least, for supporters, do we even really need to talk about Hoopa? It is on every single competitive team. I don't think I've seen a single team not run Hoopa in the last month and a half, and even in solo duo trio, it is a ridiculously good supporter. It is a little bit rough specifically in solo queue, because who the hell knows if your teammates are actually going to take your holes or your portal or your night portal or hyperspace hole. You get what I mean. But if they do, then it's just completely game changing. Yeah, you can take all of the damage away from this thing and it still has its Unite move. It would still be good. So yeah, Hoopa is unquestionably one of, if not the best Pokemon in the game right now. We'll go ahead and throw it in the S tier where it belongs. Moving on, let's just get through speedsters real quick since there's also only 4 of them. Talonflame, I'm gonna put it in A tier just because it's still a really good solo duo trio carry. It does a lot, and I mean a lot, of burst damage, and it is very easy to play, very easy to escape with most of the time. I think Talonflame is still great for objective stills and securing as well. So yeah, it's still a really, really solid Pokemon, specifically in solo duo trio. It has fallen down slightly in 5-6, but I think it was, used to be up here. Now it's still like it's lower in A tier, but it's still, I think, a very good Pokemon. And also, before we get any further, I'm not gonna be ranking like Talonflame against supporters, but I will be ranking like speedsters against speedsters. Specifically, Gengar, I think, is a pretty solid B tier Pokemon. It's getting a little bit more play, and a lot of people are using it more, but I've seen too many bad Gengars and too many useless Gengars to put it any higher than B tier. I don't think it's great. I think it has one of, if not the worst, early games in the meta. I think it's really, really weak early. It is one of the most useless Pokemon at B fight, even in the jungle. And if you're playing lane Gengar, you're literally throwing for your team. So just, if you're playing Gengar, play it in the jungle or don't play Gengar. I think it's absolutely amongst the most useless Pokemon in the game in lane. But I have also seen Gengars completely snowball and carry entire games. The problem is, if you're not able to do that, you're really not providing much value for your team with really any other carry. So you could just be playing any other carry, and I don't know. I think there are other carries that do Gengar's job better. But if you are able to get super ahead and super fed and snowball really hard, yeah, Gengar can carry a game as well as anyone. I just think there are Pokemon that do that job easier. So B tier is still good, but I don't think it's, amazing. I think it's a solid Pokemon. Nothing special though. Speaking of solid and nothing special, we're going to go ahead and put Absol also in B tier. I'm going to put Absol ahead of Gengar specifically because it is usable in lane. Honestly, I think Absol might be better in lane. It has just such high burst damage early game that's able to really focus on securing, wild Pokemon. It's really good at securing, stuff like neutral, Audino or Corphish. You can even steal pretty well with this Pokemon as well. And good in B fight. It's really, really strong, really bursty early game. So against squishier targets, especially early, I think Absol has the advantage over Gengar. So we're gonna go ahead and put it slightly ahead of that. I do think it still falls off a little bit late game, but with less buddy bears in the game, it's a little bit better than it used to be, but I still don't think it's anything special. Last and not least for speedsters, we have Zeraora. Most people are putting it here, like here or here. I think those people are dumb. This is a rant I've had for a little while with Zeraora. I don't care about its level up moves. I don't care. Yeah, I agree. It needs to be lowered to the rest of the game, to 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. I agree. Yeah, give it that level curve and it would be fine. The problem with Zeraora is Wild Charge is one of the most broken moves in the game. I've been ranting about this for several tier lists now, for several videos now. I have several, patch note changes, discussions, sort of things of what I'd like to see done with Zeraora. And I think how you balance this Pokemon is change Wild Charge from damage immunity to damage reduction and lower its level up moves. I agree, it needs its level up moves lowered, but Wild Charge is broken. That's all I'm gonna speak on the matter. I think Wild Charge is broken. All right, we're good. All right, moving on. Let's do defenders next. I'm gonna make you guys wait for Espeon. I'm gonna make you wait. Blastoise, defender, S tier. Do we need to talk about it? Water Spout, Rapid Spin is broken. Very strong, one of the best Unite moves in the game. Surf Hydro Pump is still good, but I think Blastoise is great anywhere on the map. in any Q size. Like, you can solo carry with Blastoise just as well as you can provide insane value in 5 stacks. Like, you can jungle with this Pokemon as well as you can solo top lane with this Pokemon. It's unbelievably good. If it wasn't for Hoopa, if it wasn't basically just for Hoopa's Unite move, Blastoise would be the best Pokemon in the game right now, in my opinion. That's maybe a stretch. That may be a little bit of a hot take. That may be a little overreaching. But is it though? Is it though? I don't know. Blastoise is unbelievable right now. Moving on, let's go ahead and talk about Slowbro. Slowbro is a little bit rough specifically in solo duo, but if you're playing like with a trio queue and especially in 5 stack, Slowbro is phenomenal. Surf provides excellent crowd control, especially Surf Plus, knocking up 3 times in a row, just not letting people play the video game. Pretty decent secure as well. Really good early game secure as well. Is there a word for like as well twice? I don't know. But yeah, it's really solid, very hard to KO, has a ton of HP, great ability, and pretty fun Unite move. You do need follow-up, which is why it's a little bit rough in solo duo queue, but in trio plus, it's really, really strong, so I think it's still a very solid A tier pick. Snorlax, my friend. Ooh, buddy. Ooh, buddy. I think that is one of the most dominant early games in the game, but it does really struggle late game. I think Snorlax is better against uncoordinated teams than it is against actual coordinated teams. I'm going to put Snorlax at the top of C tier. Actually, I'm going to rank it ahead of Mr. Mime because they're both basically defenders at this point. So yeah, Snorlax is rough, man. It really is. Like, it has, like I said, one of the most dominant early games in the game, but I guess like, you know, coordinated team, like in 5 stacks, in, you know, top tier competitive ranked play, Snorlax is useless at the moment. But in solo, even duo queue, Snorlax can still provide a lot of value to a team. Like I said, dominant early game, still okay, pretty good late game, but the problem is it just has no range, and like, you know, range stuff could just burst it down before it can be effective. But if you're, you know, playing an uncoordinated team, you can still really just dominate a lane with block and stuff like that. So I think there's still some value there, but it's just not in as good a spot as it's been. Speaking in a Pokemon that's in a better spot, I think Mamoswine just does, you know, all the lane bullying stuff Snorlax does early. I think Mamoswine does that better late and mid game, so we'll go ahead and put Mamoswine in B tier. I'm actually really enjoying Mamoswine. I've historically been really bad at this Pokemon, but you know, I'm coming around on it. Like, double ban weakness policy, really good build. Does still have probably the worst Unite move in the game, but it's still really strong, really fun Pokemon, has a ton of crowd control, and you know, just all around pretty decent Pokemon. I just think there's one other Pokemon that does that brawly sort of lane bully playstyle a little bit better, which we'll get to in here in a second. Actually, probably 2, but whatever. Crustle is not one of those Pokemon. Crustle's pretty rough. They gave it its Stealth Rock crits back, but then they got rid of the Buddy Barrier Score Shield stacking, which they gave one of its niche uses back and got rid of its other niche use. Like, yeah, you can still sort of run in and steal stuff with Fluffy Tail Stealth Rock, and it's always going to be satisfying to do so. Greedent just does the invade, annoy shenanigans better because it has more survivability. I think Crustle's pretty rough at the moment, but it's, you know, it has its value. It's better solo. It's better against uncoordinated teams than it is against coordinated teams. Against coordinated teams is basically useless. So trio plus, I wouldn't bother. Solo duo, you can probably get away with it if you're feeling like a little bit of trolling. Speaking of trolling, let's talk about some treeing. I think Trevenant is absolutely phenomenal. I've been saying since Trevenant came out that it wasn't as bad as people thought. I just thought it needed a couple tweaks and it would really rise up the meta. And lo and behold, a couple buffs later, this Pokemon is absolutely phenomenal. Like, we've been seeing Trevenant pretty frequently in competitive play, as well as just being absolutely a menace in solo duo trio. Like, this Pokemon is so hard to KO, it's ridiculous. It has a decent early game now, which is all it needed to be good. Curse Hornleech is ridiculous. Getting the resets on that, just not letting people play the game and healing a ton, just has so much sustain. This Pokemon is so hard to KO. And like I've been saying, one of the absolute best Unite moves in the game. I think people are still sort of underrating its Unite move for how good it is. So yeah, Trevenant is incredible at the moment. Moving on to Greedent. It's borderline S tier for me. I'm gonna leave it in A tier though, just because it is a little bit easier to deal with than it previously was. Competitively, there are still some teams who run Greedent solo top and can get away with it pretty well. I'm talking, you guys know who I'm talking about. It's still a very solid Pokemon. It's my most hated Pokemon in the game. Like, if it's my own personal rankings, I'm putting it here just because I hate playing it that much. I hate Greedent. It is the most annoying Pokemon to play in the game, but it's mostly just annoying. I think it's okay at the moment. It's truly the best all-arounder in the game. Good at defending, good at attacking, and it's the best speedster in the game. So there you go. It's truly the best all-arounder. Anyway, moving on, let's go ahead and talk about actual all-arounders. Starting off with Charizard. Charizard is honestly borderline B tier for me at the moment. It really is. Just because so many things in the game can cancel its Unite move, looking at these two specifically being on every team. But I do still think if you're able to get this thing, get a good Unite move off, you can still shred through entire teams. And it does still have a decent and good enough usable kit to be very, very good. I love Charizard. It's one of my most played and most favorite Pokemon to play. But yeah, don't lane with this Pokemon. It's another Pokemon you just should not be playing in lane. Terrible laner. Close to Gengar in terms of being a bad laner. Like, it's really, really that bad in lane. So I wouldn't bother with that, but it's still very, very strong if you're able to land your Unite moves and, you know, punish teams and just shred squishies. It's still very good. So big fan of the Zard. Doesn't have the best secure in the game, but still a really good, really solid Pokemon. The champ. Buddy, you are so close to S tier. But I think there's just, we all know why it's not. I'm gonna put it up here. Like I said, I wasn't gonna rank it. I think it is just so much better than Charizard, though it's not even funny. They're completely different roles. I get that, so that's irrelevant. I think it is the closest Pokemon to S tier without actually being S tier in the game. You know what? We're gonna stick with it so it doesn't get confusing. It is the second best all-arounder in the game, but it is yeah, so much burst damage with dynamic punch, auto into close combat, or cross shot. Like, you just delete squishies from the game. One of, if not the, like, it is close to being one of the best Unite moves in the game. If you land a big Machamp Unite move, you can change that fight. So great Unite move. I think Machamp is just fan-frickin-tastic. There's just one all-arounder that does that solo top roll a little bit better, and that's Garchomp. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, Garchomp is close to C tier. I love Garchomp. It's one of my mains. It, I think, is probably my most played Pokemon. I have close to a 60% win rate in about 250 games, somewhere around that. Don't quote me on that. I love Garchomp. I love it. That's what I'm trying to take bias out. I think it's taking bias aside, I think it's probably a C tier pick. I think it's a really solid Pokemon. I just think it really struggles with crowd control, and it really struggles with range. And look at everything I have in the top of A and S tier. So yeah, it doesn't really hold up well against stuff like Blastoise, Blissey's, Hoopas. Like, it doesn't do well against stuff like that. But it's a super fun Pokemon to solo carry with. If you can, you know, get ahead as Chomp, you can really do a lot for a team. It's just kind of bad against a lot of stuff that's meta, unfortunately. I love Garchomp as much as the next guy, but I don't think it's great at the moment. All right, I skipped the Dragonite, so we'll go ahead and get back to him real quick. I think he's a B tier Pokemon. Hyper Beam secures will always be good, but I think there are just better secures in the game. And Dragonite, again, really, really struggles with crowd control. How many like, you can only pop full heal once, so, you know, you just watch for the full heal, stun it again, and then it's Hyper Beam. It's useless, and then the other team secures. So yeah, it's a little bit rough. Hyper Beam is still really, really good. It just doesn't do as much damage as it used to. So you're not as good in team fights. Its Unite move isn't as good as it used to be. It doesn't score as well as it used to. But Hyper Beam secures are still nice. Outrage is okay. I don't think it's good, but it's okay. Dragonite's solid. Dragonite's the definition of decent. Speaking of decent, there's nothing decent about this Pokemon. Lucario's broken. It will always be broken. Until they change the scaling on it, it will always be broken. It doesn't have to evolve. Power Up Punch and Extreme Speed are both good. Pulse Combat and Bone Rush are both good. Everything about his kit's good. Its Unite move is all of a sudden great at stealing stuff when it used to not be. Nothing changed. It's just the most broken Pokemon in the game. Yeah, they refuse to actually nerf anything useful about Lucario. They just change. Is it a Power Up Punch or is it an Extreme Punch or Extreme Speed patch? Well, it just so happens this is both. So yeah, I don't know what we do about this Pokemon. It's an absolute menace. Oh, Serena. Serena's close to A tier for me. I'm gonna put it in B though, just because I think these two all-arounders are a little bit better, I think, and I also think this guy is significantly better as well. So we'll go ahead and put him there. But I think Serena's very solid. Stomp does a lot of burst damage, really deletes squishies, and you have a lot of sustain with that, as well as the shields from Dropkick should you choose to go that way. I think Serena is very solid right now, but I think, you know, it's just not as good as Machamp, Aegislash, or Lucario. Aegislash, gonna put that in A tier. I think it's very good. Provides a lot of value as a just a burst damage demon. It's great at secures with both its boosted auto attacks as well as its unite move. The one thing, so they changed how its basic attacks work. Not really. They just made it do it does damage based on the percent of max HP. So against fatter targets, it does more damage. So against stuff like Blissey and Blastoise, it does a lot more damage. So it's really good against this fatter meta, which is what we're in right now. So it's very, very good against fat things. So Aegislash is really, really strong at the moment. And this Pokemon can combo super well and just do ridiculous amounts of damage once you learn these Wide Guard Sacred Sword combo. Shackle Iron Head's not really great right now, but if you can learn how to juggle your Wide Guards and your Sacred Swords, you're going to absolutely delete things. So I think Aegislash is very strong at the moment. I think it's a better jungler than a top laner. I wouldn't really play this Pokemon solo top, although you can get away with it. In a 2-1-2 in a solo queue meta, it is a pretty good laner. But I think, honestly, this is probably one of the better junglers. Well, I think it might be the second or third best jungler in the game at the moment. We'll get to the other two in a little bit. But yeah, I think it's a very strong Poopy Mans. All right, let's speed through attackers. Not much has changed about Venusaur. Still great sustain, still really strong, still very good. All right, do we need to talk about it more? Pikachu. In team play, it's closer to here. In solo duo trio, it's probably around here. Split the difference and call it low A tier, I guess. No, I think it's significant. I think it's pretty bad in solo queue right now just because it doesn't really have secure. So we're gonna put it in B tier. I think it's good. I don't think it's anything special though. Like, especially in solo, you're still throwing off your night move a ton, but Buddy Bear nerf doesn't really make that as good as it used to be. Pikachu's still really solid though. Ninetales, same sort of thing. I do think it's a little bit better than Pikachu solo queue just because you do pump out a little bit more damage. So go ahead and throw it in A tier. Just a ton of damage, a ton of freeze, just yeah, ridiculous. Like, great, one of, if not the best pure laners in the game. Like, you don't really want to run Ninetales in the jungle, although you can do some split jungle stuff with it as well. But yeah, Ninetales just absolutely dominant laner. Speaking of dominance, Gengar or Gardevoir used to be dominant, but it's okay at the moment. It doesn't do a lot of things that the meta needs at the moment, so it provides a lot of stuns, which with Blissey and Blastoise running around, how valuable is that? Who knows? Does still do a lot of damage. Still pretty good at stuff like that. Good range attacker. I think there are better special attackers, better range attackers in the game. So put Gardevoir in B tier. Greninja is solidly in the S tier. I think it is the best jungler at the moment. Best solo queue Pokemon at the moment. One of the best Pokemon at the moment. Surf is just ridiculously strong in this heavily burst focused meta, especially, you know, against stuff like, yeah, a lot of the squishies that are seeing play, Pikachu's, Ninetales, the EVs and stuff. Very good at just deleting targets like that, and very good at securing objectives with Surf as well. Surf is unbelievable. Learn Surf, learn how to get your resets, and you'll be carrying a lot of games, I promise you. Sylveon. We're talking split jungle shenanigans, getting level 4 and dominating a lane. It's very good. I don't think it's better than Pikachu solo. It's better than Pikachu competitively right now, I'd say, which is weird. I don't know if it's better than Pikachu competitively. Hyper Voice is really, really good though. Hyper Voice is really good. I'm gonna put it in B tier, and that feels like it's a little bit underselling how decent Espeon or Sylveon is at the moment, but I think it's okay. Oh, we forgot Azu. I just we forgot Azu. We'll get to Azu later. Man. Yeah, Sylveon B tier. Sylveon B tier works. Has a really bad Unite move. One of his movesets is useless, so yeah, we'll put it in B tier. Decidueye. One of my favorite characters to play in the game. Spirit Shackle is incredibly fun. We'll put it in the A tier. I think it is great. I think it is fantastic. But very squishy and very bad against stuff like Blissey and Blastoise specifically. So gotta be a little bit careful. But if you're, you know, dicking around in solo queue, you can do a lot worse than this HY. Sylveon or Cinderace, S tier. If you're putting this anything lower than S tier, you're wrong. I cannot believe people think this Pokemon is not S tier. It does the most damage in the game. It's the best attacker in the game. Yeah, there are better Pokemon for the meta. There are better Pokemon that are more, you know, centralizing or more. I don't really have another way to say meta. There are Pokemon that are better for the specific meta, but Cinderace is still the highest damage dealing character in the game, and it's not close. It's S tier. Anywhere else is wrong. All right, moving on. Cramorant. It has its moments. It has its moments. I'm going to put it top of C tier. I'm going to put it at the very top of C tier. I just think Pikachu, Sylveon, Ninetales, Venusaur all do its job better, but I think it's okay. The Rowlodon, I think it's B tier Pokemon. Still decent secures on Dragon Pulse, just does not do enough damage in team fights to really make it viable. I think it's a little bit at the moment, but you know, it's in a good place. It's in a decent place, but it definitely struggles in team fights sometimes. But it's alright. Still good secures, which is, you know, an important thing at the moment. Azumarill. I told you I'm gonna make you guys wait. I didn't realize I forgot Azumarill. And since I forgot it, I mean, let's be real. I don't think Azumarill is the worst Pokemon in the game, but I think it is in the most need of help in the game at the moment, which is typically what I use the D tier for. Azumarill, you can carry with Azumarill, definitely. Like, there are games where I've seen Azumarill do some disgusting things. I just think Azumarill is not great, to say the least. Man, I promise this wasn't just because I forgot it. I don't have anything in the D tier, but I do think Azumarill genuinely does need help. It's useless in team fights because of its ability. Water Pulse Plus is good. Getting its Unite move a lot is good, but that's really all this character has going for it. Whirlpool is pretty meh. Its secures are pretty meh. Everything about its kit is just pretty meh. So since everything about his kit isn't great, put it in the need tier because it's in the most need of help. There we go. All right, Espeon. I've seen differing opinions on this Pokemon. Obviously, it's a little bit weird the way they released it. I've played a decent amount of it, and I really enjoy it. I really, really like Espeon. I don't think it's great, though. I've seen people say it's here, and I've seen people say it's here. Man, where do I think Espeon is, though? Where do I think Espeon is? I think it's better than Gardevoir. I think it's comparable to Pikachu, especially with the stuns. And I think it's better all around than Sylveon. So I guess by default, it goes into the A tier. Scishok is fantastic. Scishok is the best part of this thing's kit, and it's not close. Great for secures. I don't love stored power, but I have seen some stored power builds do a lot of damage. I haven't really figured out how they work, though, so I haven't played with them too much myself. But I do really enjoy that. I'm not a huge fan of feature sight, but if you're able to get resets with it, it's really good. Although I do like the added secure of Psybeam. So just the double secure of Psybeam Scishok is very nice. As especially it gets that water pulse like effect where it just bounces between enemies. That's really strong as well. I love the stuns from Scishok. Scishok is really, really, really good. And its Unite move. Its Unite move is a lot like an AoE Slowbro Unite, which is really strong, and it actually does a burst of damage, which is pretty good for secures. I think Espeon is a pretty solid A tier Pokemon. I do think it is. I think it actually fits right there, slightly ahead of Ninetales. I think it's a pretty decent Pokemon. I don't think it's anything special. I don't think it's broken. I don't think it's bad. I think it's pretty damn good. I think it's pretty damn good. So we'll leave it in the A tier. Let me know what you think. This really felt like it fell apart towards the end. I lost a lot of words and a lot of brain cells making this video, so leave a like. That'd be really cool. And I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.